judge is Good evening and welcome to the judges, teachers, cast, and participants of Frsis 2025. Now, I'd like to introduce our judges today. The chief judge is Dr. Nur Fazila binti Abdul Manan, head of the Infectious Disease Control Division, Sepang District Health Office. The second judge is Miss Adila binti Ahmad from SM Sultan Abdul Halim. The third judge is Mr. Yuswan bin Muhammad Yusuf from SMS Tunku Abdullah Semester. And I, Sharifah Ivana Marsena binti Said Suhaimi from Sekolah Menengah Sains Selangor, while the timekeepers, Sharifah Alia binti Said Ubaidillah Al-Habshi and Nur Amira Alia binti Muhammad Helmi, are from Sekolah Menengah Sains Kuala Selangor. Now, allow me to read the rules. First, each team should consist of presenters and a technical assistant. Second, the presentation must focus on the sub-team assigned to the team. Third, the duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. Fourth, the bell will ring once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute. And lastly, a question and answer session will be conducted after each presentation. Now, I would like to invite the first team school name, Sekolah Menengah Sains Banting, to present.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think the cost of living in Malaysia has skyrocketed, and how does it affect the rural communities in our country? Before that, Assalamualaikum and good morning to all the honorable judges, accurate timekeepers, fellow presenters, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adawiyah Sofia Btisharudin, and on behalf of my team from SM Sains Banting, it is a great pleasure to stand before you today. Today, we'd like to present our research entitled The Key to Resilience, a Dive into Ecotourism under the sub-theme Wellness and Well-Being. Moving forward, our team consists of 4 people, well 5, including Madam Helena, as our teacher advisor has been a godsend for us in developing our research. Moving along, the presenter for today is me, Adawiyah, and Shasmi Fadullah, and we also have Iman Taufiq and Dayang Nur Afifah to complete our team. Together, we've worked and improved our research for the end product, which is this. Without any further ado, let's get started. The followings are the content of today's presentation. Now, before we proceed, it's important for us to examine the key concept of today's presentation, which is resilience, ecotourism, and SDG 3. Coming up first, resilience. As resilience, ability for a community to be able to face challenges and resume normal life, whether it's economical, cultural, or environmental. Ecotourism, simply put, a responsible travel to a natural area while conserving the wildlife and local ecosystem. And lastly, SDG 3, as defined by the United Nations, is to ensure good health and well-being to both old and young. Now, why is it important for us to use ecotourism as a means of achieving resilience and SDG 3? Coming up first, ecotourism allows us to build to build a community that is able to adapt with disasters and global disruptions. Second, ensures the long term of sustainability of ecotourism and allows us to ensures the long-term sustainability of ecotourism destinations, allows us to have sources of income, education, and cultural pride. Third, we are able to replicate a model that can we are replicate forgive me we are able to replicate a model that can be obtained by other struggling communities so they can experience these same benefits. And lastly, to build an economy that can survive global disruptions and unexpected events. Now, the objectives of today's presentation is simple. First, to analyze the environmental conservation efforts and the impact on ecological resilience in Sikinchan. Next, to examine the economic diversification and livelihood improvements in Sikinchan. And third, to access the role of ecotourism in preserving and promoting Sikinchan cultural heritages and traditional practices. Now, the selection of this location was chosen by its location, tourism, and industry. Let us examine the location of Skinchan, which is located in Sabak Bernam district in Federal Route 5, that is located along the coastal Federal Route 5, approximately 100 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur, making it accessible by road and also popular for its weekend destinations. Now, Skinchan also is also characterized by vast paddy fields and also fishing industries, as it's called Rice Bowl of Selangor and the land of fish because of its major producing industry. Now, moving on, Skinchan also provides us some amazing and interesting ecotourism spots, like first, the fishing village, which is popular in 2011, and then next, 2013, Skinchan Paddy Gallery, which is provides paddy planting processing, and also 2021 Msikin Wonderland Water Park, which provides us an amazing view of the Redang Beach and also environmental and nature design concept on the water park. Now, moving on, we have now, although the selection of this place is solid, there are still lack of improvements, and we hope to flag you the current implementation of the current model. First, we highlight the challenges, the causes of the challenges faced by the traditional economy. Next, how these challenges highlight the need for diversified and sustainable development model. And then next, the potential of ecotourism as a pathway to enhance resilience. Now, the effect of fluctuating economy and high cost of living is as the same result as the NDP study in Bangladesh due to low levels of employment and productivity. And next, we have the environmental impact and climate change that is caused by hot weather and unexpected climate change that causes agriculture industry to go under low producing their rice low, and also the fishing industry to go low fish population. And lastly, we have insufficient infrastructure and facilities for specialized care that is caused by shortage of trained medicals professionals and also the limited budget. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this highlights the need for change. But how?
Thank you, Adawiyah, for the insightful presentation. Moving on, allow me to elaborate further on our findings and research process. To answer Adawiyah's question, a diversified economy ensures that when one sector falters, the other sectors can pick up the pace and continue to support the local livelihood. A sustainable economy, meanwhile, means that these alternatives do not harm the environment and cultural heritage in the long run. This is why ecotourism plays the perfect role as a practical and future-ready solution. Moving on, let's examine the potential of ecotourism as the pathway to enhance resilience. Firstly, economically, ecotourism provides both expanded job opportunities and diversified income sources for the local community. The revenue generated from ecotourism can also be used to improve healthcare services in rural areas, aligning with SDG 3. Next, moving on to our research methodologies. We've employed a mixed method approach, combining qualitative and quantitative data analysis. For the quantitative part, we've developed a questionnaire aimed at collecting respondents' thoughts on the current state of resilience, the state of ecotourism, and also the tourism services offered at Skinchan. For the qualitative aspect, we've conducted interviews and thorough analyses of research papers sourced from trusted platforms such as Google Scholar and ResearchGate. Moving on to our research analysis. Firstly, we asked the respondents to rate the current state of resilience in Skinchan. Encouragingly, most of the respondents reported it as satisfactory, placing their ratings around the upper part of the scale. Oh, sorry. The scale is from 1 to 5, with 1 indicating very unconfident and 5 indicating very confident. This graph goes to show that the majority of respondents are quite confident in the current state of resilience, but there is still massive room for improvement, lower ratings from some other respondents. Next. We also asked the respondents to rate their satisfaction of tourism services in Skinchan. Also using the same scale, most respondents reported with satisfaction, particularly with popular destinations such as the Paddy Gallery, seafood restaurant, and coastal views. Next, we've also asked the respondents to rate the ecotourism potential of Skinchan, Selangor. Using the same scale, encouragingly, most of the respondents responded positively, showing that Skinchan has both the natural resources and cultural heritage to develop into a successful ecotourism destination. Moving on, we've also asked respondents what was the key factors for their decision to come to visit Skinchan or any other tourism spots. Main factors include the quality of commodities and facilities offered, eye-catching tourist spots, and the online reviews of the said place. This goes to show that quality is very important as a key factor decision of people's decision to go to visit somewhere. Next, moving on to our research analysis for the interview. Along with our surveys, our interviews also proved very fruitful, which was held with local residents of Skinchan. The local residents of Skinchan, the resident was very optimistic about the potential of ecotourism as a pathway to enhance resilience. Moving on, our research found that Skinchan has a growing and also a massive area for ecotourism industry and moderate resilience, which can also be improved. Moving on, we propose several solutions to enhance the resilience through ecotourism in Skinchan. Firstly, we propose increased funding from MOTAC and also NGOs and increased contributions from NGOs such as the Malaysia Ecotourism Association to be towards improving conservation efforts and also improving the infrastructure of healthcare services in the area, also aligning with SDG 3. Lastly, we also propose the enforcement of laws and policies such as the Malaysia Ecotourism Plan of 2016 to 2025 and the National Forestry Act of 1984 to further protect the natural areas. Before we end, we hope that our research has helped to shed some light into the viability of ecotourism as a pathway to enhance resilience in any given area. That's all from us. Thank you.
I would like to invite participants to ask questions.
Assalamualaikum. This is my question. If Skinchan expand its ecotourism sector too quickly, what are possible negative consequences and how can they be reduced? Thank you.
Okay. For this question, it causes environmental degradation and also the overcrowd of the ecotourism because of too many people that come to the ecotourism tourists. Any more? Huh? Next question.
All right, just now in your suggested solutions, you talk about funding, getting more money from the government or from civil societies, etc., etc. But then money in itself is really not enough, right? how are you planning to spend those money to upskill Sekinchan's ecotourism economy in the first place? Thank you.
How are you planning?
This funding should come with proper planning for the the funding should come with proper planning and to grow the current tourism. Of course, the funding is not only used to build up, also not only at areas such as kitchen. Okay, thank you for the question. By increased funding, we propose an increased funding to all ecotourism projects in the nation, not only Skinchan. And of course, with more funding, there should come proper planning for how the money should flow into the projects. So not only Skinchan, maybe in some other places, maybe in Sijangkang, but more focus from the government agency should come towards ecotourism as a very strategic project for the future of our tourism industry in our nation. Does that answer your questions? Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
Does the judges have any questions?
Hello. Okay. Can you relate back your findings to your good health and well-being? That's your SDG, right? Can you relate back, because I don't see there. Is there a connection there?
Okay. Thank you for the questions. By improving ecotourism, we hope to also improve the healthcare services provided in the area. By the revenue generated by ecotourism can be used to improve and build up the healthcare services in the area, and also to prepare for future disruptions. Just in case of something unexpected happens in the future, the community has enough revenue to continue to support themselves and ensure their good health and well-being. Does that answer your question, Mr. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. That is all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Sains Sultan Mahmud to present.
This. This.
Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Sains Sultan Mahmud to present.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon. I bid to all of you. And today I'm very excited to share our research with all of you guys with the title of From Stress to Fresh Nature's Healing Mesh under the subteam 2, Good Health and Well-Being. Now let's proceed on to the definition of ecotourism. So, ecotourism is defined as responsible travel to natural areas that conserve the environment and supports local communities. It also promotes biodiversity awareness, cultural respect, and environmental studies. Next. All right, let's move on to the literature review. Next. All right, so we have been referring to a lot of articles, and we actually found out that ecotourism awareness and engagement among students in Malaysia is very low. And researchers have revealed that there are 5 major concerns. The first one is low awareness and misconception. The second one is limited exposure. The third one is positive attitude but passive involvement. Then we have growing interest through programs. And lastly is digital influence. Next. There's actually an article that talks about students' attitudes toward ecotourism programs and their awareness of ecotourism as a stress reduction tool. So this means that the students actually has a positive attitude where the student actually enjoy outdoor learning and nature-based experience. But however, there's a huge awareness gap where the student doesn't actually really recognize the benefits of ecotourism, that it can reduce stress. Next. Also, as you can see on the screen, we also refer to other studies that Okay. We also refer to other studies that we can increase the knowledge in our research. Okay, next. So for the problem statement, so there are actually several issues that relates student mental health awareness to ecotourism. While mental health research mostly focus on calming natural environments, there's limited understanding of how ecotourism in ugly nature, such as muddy mangrove or uncomfortable terrains, can foster emotional resilience. So right now, we are trying to investigate whether challenging nature experience can build emotional resilience or not. Next. All right. So in this in our research, we're trying to achieve these 3 objectives. So the first one is to assess student stress and emotional state before and after exposure to natural settings. The second one is to evaluate whether comfortable natural experiences contribute to emotional resilience. And lastly, to explore student willingness to engage in biodiversity conservation activities post-visits. Next. So for our methodology, we use a quantitative design, which consists of 30 Form 4 students from our school. Then we use pre and post tests using 5 Likert scale questionnaires. Next, we use SPSS version 22 to get the statistical analysis. And lastly, we use the 3 open-ended interview questions to support our findings. Next. So for conceptual framework, as you can see in the diagram, there's 3 parts. So the first part consists of independent variable. So independent variable is the input where we expose our student to natural environments, which is the mangrove and the beach. And second is the processes where we collect emotional assessment through questionnaires and lastly we have the output, which is the dependent variable, where we identify student stress levels after their visit to the beach and mangrove. All right, for data, for analysis of data, I will proceed the presentation to my friend Rias.
All right. Now, thank you, Karima. So now, next please. All right. So now I'm going to explain more about the analysis of data that we have conducted. So we have the pre-visit questionnaires and the post-visit one. Okay. So now, as you guys can see in table 1, student reported a higher stress level, difficulty in managing emotions, and the desire to visit nature for stress relief. However, as you guys can see in table 2, the correlation between um, the correlation between the stress from schoolwork is by feeling overwhelmed. Next, please. All right, now for the post visit, data shows a remarkable change, a significant increase in enjoyment, relaxation, and the desire to revisit the site. All right, now, as you guys can see in table 4, the correlation between the enjoyment and relaxation of the students is really, really strong with a score of 0.77. A very strong positive correlation. Students who enjoyed the trip also reported feeling more relaxed. Next, please. All right, so here is the questionnaire analysis that we have compiled. We have these two are the most standout data from the previous table. The first one is the need for break, and the second one is emotional management. Next, please. All right, for the need for break, before the visit, students moderately agreed they needed a break from schools. But after the ecotourism visit, students strongly agreed the experience contributed to their emotional well-being. And for the emotional management, the student reported a score of 3.06. And after the visit, they strongly agreed the experience contributed positively to their emotional state. Next, please. All right, now, so we have asked 3 questions to several of our students, and here are the questions, and also here are the answers. All right. So what do we actually obtain from this transcript? What do we interpret from this? So basically, the interview support the quantitative findings, while initial discomfort was common. Student reported long-term emotional benefits, such as self-confidence, clarity, and a sense of challenge. This aligns with the eco-dissonance theory, the idea that real emotional resilience stems from overcoming natural discomfort, not avoiding it. Next, please. All right, so to conclude our research for today, there are 3 major things that we need to point out. The first thing is nature heals not only in beauty, but in discomfort. Mangrove, although messy, teaches emotional strength. And lastly, eco-dissonance therefore preserve a place in school wellness program. Next. All right, so we hope that our studies can give an impact to number 1, empower students with real-world emotional skills. Secondly, supports the integration of ecotherapy in educations. And lastly, promote sustainable biodiversity awareness. All right, so we also want to propose 3 key recommendations. And the first one being include Malay oral ecotourism experience in school trips. Train teachers to facilitate emotional reflection after such trips. And lastly, expand research to include rural and urban students for broader impact. Next. So here are all of our reference that we use to refer to. All right. And that's all from us. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite the participants to ask questions. I would now like to invite the judges to ask some questions.
Assalamualaikum, and thank you for the presentations. I think you have done a good job. All right, just some questions. So, what it's very what we call method. You use questionnaire, you do the mean evaluation, but when we compare it, I'm not sure that how you see it is significant based on did you do some what dia belajar ke statistik ke? Isteri pun belajar ke statistik? It's a good attempt, okay lah. It's a good attempt, but I think it's very. How could you say how? What is your apa? What we call it? Supportive level of how confident you are lah. So now, how confident you are to say how significant is your finding, the post test and pre test. But you did show you did some statistics work that different from the others group. So I want to know how good you are lah.
Yang table tu. Comparison.
Ni yang
Can you?
So I think kalau if you do this research, you can answer me quite confident with the answer, right? So bila you present it, it shows that you have. This question was raised to you because I put you a bit higher because you do a statistic.
Okay.
All right.
Understand.
So bila I ask you the questions to show how confident you are to answer because you have the answer. It just you are not sure what you're talking about. Is it? Okay. Thank you.
No. Right.
Okay, all right. This is something not about statistic. Okay. I will ask a general question. All right. What is the biggest challenge that you have when you conduct the research?
The biggest challenge when we conducted the research was when all of us.
Actually, the biggest challenge to conduct our research that we brought the 30 Form 4 student to the mangrove kan. So first thing first, before we brought them to the beach, we brought them to the mangrove first. At first they refused so bad. They're like, no, I don't want to go. It's dirty. It's slimy, muddy. I don't want to go there. But at the end of the day, we ended up convincing them, and they eventually went to the mangrove.
Okay, this is a very simple question. Okay, for the coefficient statistic, right? You use Pearson or Spearman or any other coefficient?
Can you please repeat the question again?
For the coefficient result, do you use the method of analysis Pearson or Spearman or any other statistics analysis?
Correlation.
And can you justify why you use that particular analysis?
So can you please repeat the questions once again, please? Just one more time.
Okay, you use coefficient, right?
Yeah, use correlation.
So, are you using Spearman or Pearson? That's the two most popular analysis.
Yeah.
Or you are using any other analysis for correlation?
We use the Spearman one to analyze our data to show the difference, the correlation between, like for example, item 1 and item 2. If that's answer your question.
Thank you, Sekolah Menengah Sains Sultan Mahmud. That is all. Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Sains Kuala Terengganu to present.
Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to all the honorable judges, the precise timekeepers, and all members of the floor. Ecotourism, navigating challenges and shaping a sustainable future. Members of the floor, our sustainable development goal is good health and well-being. So based on this, we decided to narrow the scope of our research to focus on an issue related to health in ecotourism areas, especially in remote nature-based tourism areas. With that, we came up with our research title, From Forest to Phase 8, Strengthening Health Services in Ecotourism Areas. So before we begin, allow me to introduce our team member, Shakira, Damia, Hafiz, Shahida, and our teacher advisor, Ms. Noshar Farha. So I will start by defining what is ecotourism. So according to the International Ecotourism Society, ecotourism is responsible travel to natural areas that conserve the environment, sustains the well-being of the local people, and involve interpretation and education. In other words, ecotourism is not just about enjoying its natural beauty. It's about doing so in a way that can protect nature, respects local culture, and benefits the surrounding community. However, there is one important element that is still often overlooked. As ecotourism continues to grow, many of the destinations being promoted are located in rural, forested, or remote areas. While these places are rich in natural beauty, they often lack access to proper health services such as clinics, trained medical staff, or emergency response systems. So this creates a serious risk for both tourists and local community, especially when unexpected health emergencies occur like allergic reaction, injury, or accidents during outdoor activity. Without quick access to help, even small health issues can become dangerous. According to a 2022 article by New Straits Times, visitors to remote ecotourism areas in Malaysia sometimes face 2 to 3 hour delay before reaching the nearest medical facility. So this is the core problem we chose to focus on in our research because we believe that good health is just as important as environmental protection when it comes to sustainable ecotourism. So that brings us to our research objective. First, to gain a better understanding on the importance of health in ecotourism areas. Second, to advocate for ecotourism development as a driving force to improve access to healthcare and emergency services in ecotourism areas, and lastly, to offer a perspective and suggestion in strengthening health services in ecotourism areas. We believe that ecotourism holds the potential not just to support conservation and the economy, but also help strengthen health systems and emergency preparedness, ensuring that safety and well-being are not left behind. So this perspective is also supported globally. According to the World Health Organization, WHO 2024, there are already initiatives in place that aim to integrate health into the tourism sector. For example, the Coalition of Partners on Health and Tourism, a joint effort by WHO and United Nations Tourism that brings together 25 countries that have committed to working together across both ministries of health and tourism. So this global collaboration shows that the connection between public health and ecotourism is now seen as essential, and that joint effort is needed to ensure safe, sustainable and resilient travel experiences. So this is the kind of thinking we want to bring into our local ecotourism context through this study. So to support our study, we use a mixed method approach which combine both public and expert perspective. First, we conducted a questionnaire which gathered 90 responses from individuals across Malaysia. Second, we carried out an interview with a person working in the ecotourism field. We spoke with Ms. Nozafira binti Zapri, who is a digital marketer at Bayou Beach Penarek, who is also an activist that is actively involved with an NGO organization called Gang Plastic Hijab, which is a Terengganu-based organization that focuses on environmental conservation program and ecotourism. In fact, our team once participated in a plogging program organized by Gang Plastic Hijab, where we collected litter while jogging along a coastal area. This experience helped us better understand the connection between public health and environmental conservation. So as we can third, we perform content analysis by reviewing articles and reports about health issues in ecotourism areas in Malaysia. So as we can see, visiting natural spots has become top preference nowadays. Almost 99% of respondents have visited ecotourism destinations like forests, mountain trails, and rural waterfalls, proving that ecotourism is widely experienced. Many of them were somewhat or very aware of the health risks involved while visiting these areas, but despite this awareness, very few felt truly prepared if something went wrong. One of the most striking findings, almost 88% of respondents say that they would think twice about visiting a place with poor health services. So this tells us that access to medical support isn't just a health issue, it's a deciding factor for tourists. On a brighter note, 100% of respondents believe that ecotourism development can help improve emergency preparedness, and over 84% agree that better healthcare can lead to more sustainable ecotourism overall. And perhaps most importantly, 31% of respondents have either experienced or witnessed an injury during an ecotourism trip, reminding us that these risks are real, not just theoretical. So these results clearly show that health and safety matter, and that better planning is needed to protect both people and the places they visit.
Drawing from both our public survey responses and expert insight gathered through an interview with our interviewer, we recommend a set of strategic recommendations to enhance the health services in ecotourism areas, because most of respondents will consider the availability of healthcare when choosing ecotourism destination. First, we recommend to upgrading communication systems in remote ecotourism areas. In places where mobile coverage is unreliable, equipping stuff like radios, satellite phones, or offline emergency alert tools can make a life-saving difference in critical situations such as injuries, severe dehydration, or allergic reactions. This recommendation is supported by a report from Caribbean Public Health Agency, which highlight the role of satellite phones in strengthening emergency preparedness in rural tourism areas. Similarly, a published study on Research Draft 2023 confirms that satellite communications are crucial in life-threatening while mobile network is unavailable. This is similar with a statement by Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri that MOTEC is focused on upgrading infrastructure in ecotourism in Malaysia. Second, we recommend to
we recommend the first aid and emergency response training be made compulsory for all staff in ecotourism areas, not just for adventure guides. In 2024, a triple drowning of government officers in whitewater rafting at Jahan River, Gopen brought an increase to measure safety in ecotourism in Malaysia. Third, we're setting out clear emergency protocols and communication procedures so that both staff and visitors know exactly what to do in case of an emergency. When everyone knows how to respond, it can increase panic, and when everyone knows how to respond, it can increase panic and save times where when everyone knows how to respond, it can reduce panic and save times where help may take longer to arrive. A UNWTO safety guidelines manual strongly encourages standardized emergency response protocols in rural tourism areas. This includes having posted instructions, staff drills, and a documented chain of action during emergencies. Last but not least, we advocate to including healthcare planning as a core of element of ecotourism development right from the beginning. Just as we strive to protect the natural environment, we must also prioritize the health and safety for both visitors and local communities. This approach aligns with One Health concept in ecotourism areas, with One Health concept introduced in 2022 in Lancet Planetary Health Agency article, which emphasized the interconnectedness of environmental and public health in planning. When investors see high preparedness as a part of sustainable planning for ecotourism, it can make a triple benefit, which can give safer experience for tourists, health improvement for local communities, and a stronger reputation for Malaysia as a sustainable and responsible ecotourism destination in Malaysia. As for our last word, ecotourism is not just an economic opportunity, but also a platform of public development in remote areas. That concludes our session for today. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite the participants to ask questions. Now I would like to invite the judges to ask some questions.
Right. So I think thank you for the presentations. I think it's a very fresh new ideas, a very different scope, and you got a very good marks on that formula. But I think you need to widen scope. What do you mean? So this one, the question is, so what do you mean by the preparedness? Emergency preparedness. I'm a public health, so bila emergency preparedness is it need to be widened. The emergency preparedness. So in your context for the ecotourism, what do you mean by emergency preparedness? Emergency preparedness. Just accident emergency at hospital, or what do you mean the definition of emergency preparedness that you aim here? The ecotourism influence.
In our context, emergency preparedness is when someone have injured or something, there are already person that have basic training or something, but as we can see nowadays, not all of the guides know basic training like first aid or something. That is what emergency preparedness in our context mean.
All right. Okay. Actually, that question is really got related to do with my question. What do you think the most practical way and with the least expenditure, all right, with the least expenses that we can do or the government can do, all right, to help people who are actually having problems during emergency when they are engaging in some ecotourism activity. Right, the most practical way that we can do.
Bagi compulsory basic training as a compulsory. Tour guide. We think that the government can make it compulsory for tour guide or anyone that works at ecotourism areas have basic first aid training, and the government can actually increase fund from other country so that so that when we have more fun, we can upgrade the health services in ecotourism areas.
Thank you, Sekolah Menengah Sains Kuala Terengganu. That is all.
Okay. Test. Macam kau ni.
Testing 1 2 3.
Okay. Okay, skor sedia. Dari kanan. Dari belakang cepat boleh. Squat T. Mana kau depan? Kiri pusing. Kau depan, hormat. Hormat, repeat. Squat, keluar baris.
Testing 1 2 3. Everyone hear my voice loud? Test.
Now, finally, let's hear from the last team, Maktab Tentera Diraja Malaysia, to present.
In a world with social inequality on the rise and also economic instability, this raises the question, how can we uplift our local community and nature before it's too late?
Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to my dear judges and all members of the floor. My name is Atta, but you can call me Ming.
And I'm Zafran, and you can call me Brits.
And we present to you empowering communities and safeguarding nature in the face of uncertainty.
So for today's slide, we will be talking about the problem statement, and then after that, we'll go through the definition and goals, following up through with efforts, and last but not certainly least is the conclusions.
So, on to our problem statement. Okay, coral reefs in Australia are currently being reduced to dangerous levels. This presents a situation most countries are currently experiencing worldwide, and that is exploitation of biodiversity, which leads us to our problem statement. Without a sustainable alternative like ecotourism, ecological countries face the absence of sustainable alternatives and also the exploitation of biodiversity. This leads to the shared problems worldwide.
With the problem statement out of the way, we have to highlight some goals first before we have to make sure that our case study aligns. So with this, we have highlighted these 4 goals: to handle challenges, adapt and endure, help nature, and benefit local people, all the while sustaining and benefiting the local people and nature. So without further ado, we have to define first, what is resilience?
So, resilience actually refers to the ability to bounce back from hardship, stress, or challenges. It not only involves bouncing back from hardship, but also growing and learning from difficult experiences. Just as resilience is to adapt positively, ecotourism is a form of travel that adapts to and promotes the natural resources. So, that out of the way, let's see the key goals that drives ecotourism.
But before we do that, we have to understand what is ecotourism first. So ecotourism is a form of responsible travel to natural areas that conserves the environment, support local communities, and educates them. It's tourism with a purpose, not just to see, but also to protect and to participate. Which leads to our methodology, consisting of surveys, questionnaires, and forums exploring the public's view on reinforcing ecotourism to promote resiliency.
Okay, here are our questionnaires. We conducted a pair of surveys and questionnaires onto the public because they are the stakeholders which are affected by these problems and also can make a huge difference. Okay, based on the first question, 79.8% of people actually believe that ecotourism is a reliable source of income for local communities, while 20.2% of people disagree on the statement. And on the second question, we can see that 64.3% of people agree that ecotourism can benefit people in the long run, while 35.7% disagree.
With the quantitative research out of the way, it's time to explore into the qualitative research. Based off these 2 are the most notable ones from our respondents. One has said ecotourism can be a means to educate communities about the importance of nature to sustainable life. This bottom-up approach would contribute to community resilience in the long run. While another one has said ecotourism can strengthen local communities by creating jobs, supporting local businesses, and encouraging cultural pride and preservation through sustainable tourism. What this shows us is that the public understands that ecotourism is important. Thus, this raises the question, how can we make this vision more achievable? Which presenting efforts, we have identified 4 key efforts for us to explore here: healthy ecosystem, healthy tourism, environmental stewardship, WTE, which refers to waste to energy, and last but certainly not least is 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle.
So the first efforts are the healthy ecosystems and healthy tourism. Okay, healthy tourism depends on healthy ecosystems. This is because clean natural places actually attract visitors from outside and further enhances the local communities. And so, this leads us to reduce waste, packaging, and bring reusables such as bottles and bags to reduce waste and protect the environment.
Moving on to environmental stewardship, here's our effort. So we have identified two: minimizing waste and pollution, and the second one being energy and water efficiency. I will tell you a little bit about minimizing waste and pollution. We have identified the leave no trace principles, which is to educate tourists to pack out all the trash, avoid disturbing wildlife or plants, and stick to designated habits. Essentially, it's kind of like how in RMC or we're in the jungle, right? We have to leave no trace for the enemy. Same thing with here. We have to leave no trace for nature to find. This case being trash. So energy and water efficiency, water conservation, implementing rainwater harvesting, rainwater recycling, and water efficient fixtures, such as, but not limited to, low flow toilets and shower heads. Which brings us to
the 3Rs and WTE. So this is a different scope of our efforts, and we'll be focusing on the 3Rs and WTE by practicing and promoting these said things.
So what exactly is the 3Rs? Well, 3Rs are reduce, reuse, and recycle. They're ordered that way for a reason. So first, reduce. If you the best waste is no waste. If you have no waste in the first place, then what is there to throw out and reuse and recycle, right? So that's why reduce is put first. But if there is waste, say a plastic container, we have to use the second R, reuse. Say you've used a plastic container to eat, right? So then you wash it so that it can reuse it for your next meal. This extends the lifespan of the plastic container and reduces waste and less consumption. But once the plastic container is at the end of its lifetime, that's when we implement the third R, recycle, where we can use the plastic container and turn it into something brand new, like say a flower pot or like a container to plant plants. Which brings us to WTE.
So WTE, as you may know, stands for waste to energy. So I'm gonna show you how it actually works. So even if you're really good at recycling your recyclables, there's always gonna be some leftovers. And what happens to these set leftovers? Well, they are transported into a specialized facility and then combusted in a specialized chamber, which then drives a turbine that creates electricity to power houses and local communities. All of this, emission control systems actually collect these gases so they don't get out of the facility. And all of this is monitored to comply with federal and state standards. At the end of the process, metals like steel and aluminum are recovered for recycling, and other leftovers are efficiently reused or disposed of in a landfill. So that brings us to our conclusion. Resilient ecotourism is actually crucial for sustainable development and blending environmental protection with community empowerment.
Our research highlights the effectiveness of inclusiveness. It is clear today that the public knows that ecotourism is beneficial. But however, we feel that there is a lack of effort to improve ecotourism. So thus brings us to ecotourism, where it's more than just travel. It is a bridge between people and the nature. And that about brings this is the citation for our research. And then last but not least, Q&A.
Thank you very much.
I would now like to invite the participants. I would now like to invite participants to ask questions.
Okay. From what I see, even though we've educated tourists, well, not only tourists but even locals, to not leave trash all over the place, and like you said, leave no traces. But there are still a minority that will litter without second thoughts. So what do you plan to do then?
I can answer this. Well, actually, ecotourism is a form of minimal travel. That means that it doesn't actually focus on many people. It has a controlled amount of people going into ecotourism because they are a small business that promotes the natural world. So yeah.
But say to answer your question, we will just enforce the law on them. That's any other questions?
Are there any challenges or limitations do you foresee in implementing the ways?
The waste to energy system.
Yes.
Challenges. Okay, there are some challenges in which people don't actually recycle any of their garbage. So that's the main challenge of WTE.
But matter of fact, though, if for your information, WTE already exists. There's some here in Malaysia too.
There's one in Negeri Sembilan, actually.
Now I would like the judges to ask some questions.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, and a good presentation by RMC. All right. My question is very simple. Actually, two questions. Actually, the first one, why do you choose? You have quantitative survey being done, correct? All right, with 29 respondents, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Okay. My question is, how do you choose the 29 respondents? That's question one. And two, why only 29? That's question two. Thank you.
High school student. Oh, I see. Yeah. All right. What answer? Yeah.
The main reason why actually is because of our limitation. You see, we're from RMC, so trying to find respondents outside is a bit hard, especially when we're confined into the college campus. We have very limited technology, so thus our limitation on 29 respondents. Those are only just the staffs and the twins and ma'ams in RMC.
Okay.
Yes, you want to ask question? No question. Same question.
Yep. Thank you, Maktab Tentera Diraja Malaysia. That is all.
Let's go, Sudi. Rumah ke depan. Rumah berpin. Dua baris.
Thank you for the interesting and fascinating presentation. Thank you to all the judges for your time, and thank you to all the presents here.